Hello, everyone. This is Tactica Imperialis, and welcome to episode 82 of Adeptus Podcastus. I cocked up my own intro again. Whoops. Right.
Typical week then.
Yeah, typical week. Joining me as always is Remleiz from 40k Theories.
Hello, everyone.
And speaking of intros, yes, this old meme is back again. We are joined by a very old friend returning back from the, probably argue, maybe would say the glory days of Adeptus Podcastus. Ladies, gentlemen, Xenos of all ages and everything in between, I give you NornQueenAlexis.
Yo.
Yeah, it's the Podcastus reunion tour is officially rolling. No idea quite if this will be a one-off or a semi-permanent arrangement. We haven't really got that far into the negotiations, so we will see. But it is a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Well, currently I'm holding Remleiz hostage, so negotiations are going pretty well.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, actually, you're not here for the next show, are you? Now I know why. Yeah. PSA, Remleiz will not be here for the next show. I know I should put this at the end, but I'm going to put it here. So if you're looking for Adeptus Podcastus in 2 weeks' time, there will be an episode, but it's going to go on my channel, and then we'll probably just switch it round so that Rem gets the even numbers and I get the odd numbers. That way, when we get to episode 100 and it's another schmoz fest, I don't have to put it on my channel and Rem can just deal with it.
You say it's like it's a bad thing.
Do you remember episode 50?
Oh, yeah.
Still good.
Remember, I had just put a video up on my channel of Zoran Uwu reading the Conrad Kurz novel. Do you think that's going to bother me?
It bothers me, okay? Anyway, I haven't changed much, but let's get on with it. In the news this week, a lot has happened, and also not a lot has happened. So, the big thing, Psychic Awakening 1, Phoenix Rising, Blood of the Phoenix, came out at, was it 140 UK in the end?
It was 230 USD, and nobody pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I remember people were talking, we were talking before it got put on pre-order about people were saying what the price was going to be, and we were like incredulous that people were pricing it that high. Turned out we weren't that far off.
It's stupid the fact it was so expensive considering, what was actually in the box compared to other former starter sets.
Yeah, if they'd put the story and rules book in with it, I think that would have been fair. But they didn't.
In all fairness,
we got the campaign book.
The campaign book is in there. The rule sheet is in there. All of their data sheets are in there.
But aren't the Craft World attributes and the Coven attributes all in the big separate book that's got the story?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, if that had been in, is what I mean. If that had been in there, that would have been worth the price that you paid. Well, in my opinion.
If they didn't put a Falcon and a Raider, or a Falcon and a Viper in there, and actually put in, maybe some Striking Scorpions, maybe some Fire Dragons, maybe another Aspect Warrior.
I think leaving it to one aspect was fair because this was the Jane Czar show, but I think I'd appreciated a
Guardian squad.
Guardians, jet bikes. Jet bikes would have been nice. Maybe a Psyker.
If you want to stick with the whole Aspect Warrior thing, why not have Shining Spears? And you have jet bikes and Aspect Warriors in one.
Yeah, I'd have said leave it to one aspect because it's the Jane Czar show. And speaking of the Jane Czar show, you two have both had a chance to read at least some, if not all of it. And I get the feeling you have opinions. Or should we save them for later?
Well, I could just say it now. I felt like I was reading a Dragon Ball Z manga. Jane Czar fought again, died, came back. Everybody dies and comes back. And it's just like, what is there any point to this?
I mean, the Phoenix Lord's coming back is their shtick, but yeah, that's weird.
That explains why Jane Czar's hair's gotten so long, because she's gone full Super Saiyan.
Oh god, she's a Super Saiyan 3. No, but
to quote the last episode that needs to go on a t-shirt, I have no desk and I must head it.
Well, going through the book itself, you had Jane Czar, who is arguably one of the worst Phoenix Lords, rules-wise. Even now, she's still one of the worst, rules-wise, with everything given to her. At most, she gets about 7 attacks, which is only 1 more than what she gets base. And her weapons are mediocre. Her toughness is 3. She barely has an invo save. And you have the same problem with the Howling Banshees. They're neat, but they're the worst aspect warrior in the Eldari collection. Like I looked at
Ouch.
this, I looked at this box and I was like, striking. When I first heard Phoenix Rising, I was like, striking scorpions. That would be cool. They're one of the worst too, but they're still better than howling banshees. And then they're like howling banshees, and I'm like, okay, here's Jane Czar, and I'm like, all right, okay, what has she got going for her? A really bad hairstyle where she's balanced on it. How is this happening? Like, what is going on with this model? Like, one, she's jumping forward, but her hair is underneath her. That doesn't make logical sense. And
I mean, in fairness, it still looks better than her original model.
That doesn't say much.
yeah, I mean, it's a cool looking model, don't get me wrong. I really like the mask. I really like the weapon choices. I really like that she's essentially the Predator from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. But that all being said, I looked at it and I was like, eh. And then, so I started talking to my tournament Eldari players. If you don't know, I've been stepping a bit more into the tournament scene. Haven't really gotten to a major tournament in a while, but I am taking more notice of it. In fact, we recently got a new person for the channel that's strictly going to do tournaments. But I talked to them and they were just like, oh yeah, that box, it's nothing that either player wants at all. It's Hellions on one side versus Howling Banshees on the other. Like, if they gave you 20 Howling Banshees, it would have been a box set worth buying.
But it doesn't.
No, it gives you a Viper.
Yeah, though that's not just. It's interesting you bring that point up of pushing weak stuff, because in White Dwarf this month, for, is it August? No, the October issue. God, I forget, losing track of months. In the October issue, they make a big deal about Celeste, the Demon Prince Herald combo for Slanesh, who apparently wasn't selling well, presumably because they were awful, and they borderline broke it for Age of Sigmar. So it's interesting how they like to push stuff is either through lore development or rules changes. In this case, for the Howling Banshees, they did both. And the effectiveness definitely seems to vary.
Well, with Age of Sigmar, the biggest winning army right now is 5 Keepers of Secrets.
Yeah, Slanesh is a little bit bonkers and is probably in line for a nerf. So I've heard, because of depravity point farming.
Well,
And Celeste does it even better.
So, if you keep an eye on Frontline Gaming and see all of the different armies that are winning all ITCs across the board, Slanesh doesn't actually need a nerf. They're pretty balanced overall. It's just you need target priority when it comes to Slanesh. You need to avoid the Keeper of Secrets. As weird as that sounds, you need to kill the things that are summoning. You need to kill the farming, the farming aspect of it. And you need to properly
it's an
bubble wrap
interesting one.
against the Keepers.
Yeah, I'm not going to profess to be that good at Sigmar. Like, I love the setting and I love the game, but I'm not going to profess to any tactical acumen at it. TLDR, I still suck. I have not changed. I still suck. But it's coming back to Blood of the Phoenix. It's interesting that they've decided to play it so safe and to take maybe a bit of a cynical conspiratorial view. Maybe they're trying to be so careful with the Eldari for 2 reasons. One is because the Space Marines are still riding the power train. We'll get to that in a second. And 2 being that the last time they gave Eldari a push, they broke the game for 2 editions straight.
So I have a few things to say about that whole junk and everything. The Eldari, the thing that actually hurt them more than anything else, especially coming from a lore aspect, is the Eldari prophecy and everything that they said hints at this being worse for them than the birth of Slanesh.
Yeah, or Ranadandri, like.
Yeah, and then nothing happened. Kind of seems like a giant letdown. Like, I love the Eldar. I love their story and everything, and I love the fact that they're just so pompous and arrogant that they won't work with the Imperium, even though they can crossbreed with the Imperium and save their entire species in one sitting. Pun intended there. But they are pushing it to the Age of Sigmar route, where they're doing order, destruction, and chaos. and the Eldari are being pulled into the Imperium, whether they like it or not.
That was something they were hinting at with the early Psychic Awakening trailers, with that whole Eldari ruining the Psyker's hand. Then that was then brushed away because it's whatever is going on, we're on our own in the follow-up trailer before Psychic Awakening actually dropped. And now we're getting Psychic Awakening 2 coming up, which we'll get onto, and there's no Eldari in it, obviously.
From what I gathered, all of these events are happening simultaneously across the galaxy.
Ish,
So-
yeah, that sounds right.
That Inquisitor, she's an Autoxenos Inquisitor that's working closely with the Eldari. She's a radical. She's actually working more with the Harlequins, which I thought was interesting, considering that the Harlequins barely played any role in this event at all so far. What I think is going to happen, they're going to do a book for each one, or each faction that's happening, and then they're simply going to revisit and continue the second part of each of their stories.
Possibly.
So right now, they're just trying to build hype and release a bunch of new models, which the sisters are getting their one box, and then they're getting Ethereal Stern, which I think is kind of neat. Since she
Have we had confirmation they're getting a model? I saw her mentioned in an excerpt, but is there any confirmation of a model for her?
So about that, it's interesting. It's interesting because GW doesn't like to name drop things unless they're guaranteed to happen, which is why they won't name drop Fulgrim, even though they've had a Fulgrim model since 2014. They've had a Fulgrim, but they've never released it, and they keep hinting at it because they need to push it at the right time to boost sales. They're waiting for a drop in sales before they release that. That's kind of what they did with the Primarchs. They just jumped up their stocks, their sales, and everything right at the beginning, and it's been holding there steady, which is really interesting if you actually watch it from a business perspective. But what I really think that they're doing is they're gearing up to release named characters for the Sisters of Battle. Let's just hope that they look like women, unlike those Repentia. Sorry, I'm a little salty about those Repentia.
That's fair. I mean, I don't have a fundamental objection to the Repentia. They're not my favourite models in the Sisters range, not even close. That's the Seraphim. But, well, I just like wing jump pack units by default, so I have my biases too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and speaking of Sisters, that ties into Psychic Awakening 2, unless anyone has any further comments on Psychic Awakening 1.
I just found it funny in regards to the story in Phoenix Rising that Asdrubal Vector and one of the homunculi conference has basically found a way to turn Drukhari effectively into humans. And basically they've actually managed to infiltrate the Imperial Guard. I'm like, what?
Okay, so can I actually explain this one?
Hang on, just say that again, just for my own sanity. Cause...
Oh yeah, it was a punishment because how Drukhari don't like basically being turned into monkeys essentially. It's like, oh, you're being punished, therefore we're gonna alter your very DNA to make you look, sound, and even smell like a human.
So, do you want to know what that homunculus did?
What the? Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, they looked at the Eldar and they put a hat on him. And they're like, you're a human now.
Did it have the little glasses with the big nose and the mustache?
Probably. No, jokes aside, and I've talked in depth about this on my channel, that Eldar and humans, they can walk next to each other and no one, the human and the Eldar, wouldn't be able to tell the difference at a range. Aside from just the writers going, they can, or they move gracefully, there is no difference between them except for the ears. There is no physical difference that you can see just looking at them. They have quite literally...
Aren't they more slender and taller as well, though?
I mean, you can
True,
say
but
that.
At 500 yards?
You can say that they're slender, but that doesn't matter under clothing. You could say
True.
that they're taller, but that doesn't matter considering that there's no actual size scale in 40k. Because we know that there's a Catachan that's taller than a Marine, and he's just a Catachan. Voidborn people average about 7 foot in height. If you live on a high gravity world, for some reason you become a gigantic bulking Ogryn, even though that makes no logical sense at all.
I will tackle that in a Tutorialis video, and we'll see.
Like that one is. And then there's if you're born underwater. I'm not kidding. You become a shark person, and that's perfectly accepted. Like a literal street shark from the early '90s is accepted as a human, but an Eldar isn't. And Eldar have been shown to be able to crossbreed with humans, depending on the source and if you consider that canon.
Yeah, I think sorry, I'll finish the point.
I was just going to say that there is no canon in 40k. It's all legends.
I think going back to like the whole like what's human, what's not, is that all of those examples that were given were genetic deviations based on natural selection and evolution from the human genomes. And I've got to choose my words very carefully here because someone will easily misinterpret this. The Eldari aren't coming from this quite the same genetic baseline as humans.
If they can crossbreed, they are the same species. They share a similar ancestor.
Which is interesting in and of itself and weird because I actually read a piece of, and I don't know, this was on Lexicon and I need to go and double check the source, that humanity's ascension was basically a galactic accident. And that humans were never meant to play this big storied role in the galaxy, but everything went to crap with the old ones and they just kind of did by happenstance. I need to double check where that source comes from, but I did read it.
Yeah, because there's some sources that say that humanity was made by the old ones. There's some sources that say humanity was an accident. There's some sources saying that humanity was a result of chaos infecting monkeys billions of years ago.
Yep.
And it's like everything's just a mess at times. But just quickly going back to the whole differences in height and stuff, can we just take a moment to remember that there was a member of the Space Wolves Wolfguard who was bigger than Lehman Russ?
Mm-hmm. Or I pointed this out on my Twitter recently, and everybody said the most like horrid responses ever, or just were blatantly sexist, and I apologize about that. But I pointed out that Sisters of Silence are just a hair, just like 4 or 5 inches shorter than a custodian, and it's been shown in artwork that they stand as big as Lehman Russ's men, which are on average stand taller than a regular Astartes. And Remleiz, we actually had a talk about this a while ago when I pointed this out originally.
Yeah, it rings a bell because I remember like on the cover for Prospero Burns is where you see like Lehman Russ with the Sisters of Silence, and they do look to be about at the very least the same height as the Space Wolves at the very least.
So after looking into this and everything, somebody pointed out that they finally made lore for it. It's in the newest White Dwarf, October's issue, which they had the Sisters of Silence in, which was a copy.
It's right in front of me, actually.
It was a copy paste from the index, which kind of completely blew me out of the water. I really thought they were going to put the Persecutor squads in there. I really thought that they were going to put all of the options from Forge World in there and actually make them a legit army using just that one box, because that's what they did for Forge World. But no, they just copied the index and did the most lazy thing possible, because GW has a for Sisters. But I digress. Going back to that, they actually they talk about how the Sisters of Silence selectively breed their sisters in order to maintain purity. And for one, that's an impossibility when you have a galaxy in between you and your original source. And 2, whatever, they're 7.5 foot tall Amazon women. They don't need no lore.
Yeah, it says here in the article, members of the Inquisition or far-ranging rogue traders hand some over to the Sisterhood, and rumors persist of genetically stable bloodlines hidden from Terra and protected by the Sisterhood themselves, which is how they get more sisters into their ranks. So it's a little bit of both, it's implied here.
Yeah. Though I will say this, most Inquisitors, when they meet a blank, can't stand them because they're psychers. Like the Inquisitor themselves. It was really funny. We had an encounter with a sister ship that was destroyed in a rogue trader in a Dark Heresy game. My character, being a psyker, started like getting dizzy and passing out because the ship had a bunch of blackstone on it. And it was just amusing, because I love the sisterhood in 40K, but the GW doesn't know genetics. They don't know science. That's why they think zygotes are the reason why Space Marines can't be female, even though a zygote is just an impregnated egg.
I mean, I think we all know that GW and science has always been a little bit iffy. Like, just looking at the lore for the salamanders, for example, it says like in their index of studies, like, because they're born in a high gravity world, they have slower reflexes and like they're much slower than our Astartes, even though being born in a high gravity world would mean they would actually evolve to compensate for that, and then on a lower gravity world they would actually be faster.
So I have been doing a little bit of science on my channel, and GW's understanding of biology is awful, as far as I can tell. I'm not a biologist by trade, but their biology knowledge is a bit wonky.
Didn't they say in regards to the Tau, like the Tau blood is like blue because it has this mineral in it, even though in natural biology, if blood had that mineral, it would actually be yellow or something?
It depends on the mineral in question. The reason that our blood is red is because it contains
iron.
Iron, hemoglobin, which has got bonds with the iron to form iron oxide, which is red because that's what rust is. What was that mineral in Tau blood? Was it cobalt?
I think so.
Because if you wanted blue, you'd probably want copper, because a lot of copper compounds go blue, like copper carbonate, I think in particular, and possibly copper oxide are blue.
So for the Tau blood, I've only been able to find two sources for that. One is Xenology, which is so laughably bad that I don't even consider it part of 40K's repertoire, because it was one writer that came on and then never wrote anything again. It also says that orcs...
Yeah, that's not true. It's written by Simon Spurrier, who did quite a few things for Games Workshop.
Yeah, but they also said that orcs were jelly people, where their internal organs had no bones, no nothing protecting them. They just sloshed around their organs. They just sloshed around inside them. I thought that was the weirdest thing ever. They also say that Eldar poop crystals, which would kill them instantly. But aside from that, like, the only other thing is Caiaphas Cain saying, looking down at the dead Tau in his audiobook, and just saying it's weird that they bleed blue. But that could just be him being colorblind.
Possibly. We haven't really seen enough artwork. But going back to my point about GW's science, actually, the GW's physics knowledge, whoever they get to write their physics, they're not actually that awful. I've done 2 episodes of my Tutorialis series. The lasgun checks out. The lasgun absolutely checks out. It's just a little bit very, very powerful. But if you advance the technology over 20,000 years, you'll probably get a solar cell series that powerful. The grav gun, whilst absolute nonsense, they did the best job of explaining a grav gun that I think you could possibly do, given the fact that grav guns, I think, are scientifically impossible. They did a very good job of attempting to explain it, and I know there are like scientists on that team in Black Library who write stuff. So then actually some of their science is very good. Their biology and genetics need some work, though. I'll give you that.
The one thing that they could have done to fix the grav gun is just have it project something that puts out a gravity field, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, until it kills the wielder by pulling them along with it, and that's where the problem comes.
Well, let's just hope it fires far enough away that wielders can run, because a gravity gun is just so silly.
Yes, it is. I spent 40 minutes debunking it. I know how silly it is. But I will spare you that rant all over again. So all that leads into talking about Sisters of Battle and Eldari. That leads us on quite nicely, I think, to Psychic Awakening 2, which is, I've lost it, which is called Faith and Fury, I believe.
Gee, I wonder who's going to be the headliner of that one. Well,
it's tying into the Sisters of Battle, but there's a lot of factions involved in this one. If you've seen the little video track, the little hexagon goes on or octagon, whatever it is, goes on a nice little spin with loads and loads and loads of faction logos showing up.
Oh, yeah, It's like sisters and Black Templars against like Word Bearers, Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and
Oh,
some
it's
other
more than
factions.
that. There's Sallies are on that list. White Scars are on that list. The Guard are on that list. There may even be other loyalists on that list. But it is definitely probably about the Sisters and the Templars being the frontliners. And I suspect if anyone's going to get the push to fight them, I'm going to say Word Bearers will be the frontliners.
Yeah, Faith versus Fire, Word Bearers versus Sisters.
Yeah, the other Traitor Legions will be there, and maybe we'll see something fun happen. But I think Sisters and Templars, or just Templars in the box with Sisters being heavily featured in the lore and released at the same time, up against Word Bearers, is my guess.
I mean, I just hope they wipe out all the Repentia and never make them again, because those new Repentia look like garbage. I hate those new Repentia.
I might be wrong here, but I get the feeling you don't quite like the new Repentia.
Well, you see, when they drastically alter the lore, and then when they get called out on it, they just go, oh yeah, that's always been there. I'm just sitting there like, okay. Why do they have wrestlers' uniforms on with a WWE belt and tennis shoes? Also, I had to get told that those were Repentia. I thought they were just because originally those were the priest models set to be released back in 2015, before GW lost the rights to all of its guardsmen. And I was just like, awesome. They just reprinted them for Sisters and claimed that they're women. Cool. But, I don't want feminine soldiers at all. I don't want that. That's silly. Why would I want a radical order of battle nuns, Melta maidens, so have you, to look feminine in any way? I mean, Raging Heroes is going to love this. Their sales are going to skyrocket. Okay, I'm done.
Fair.
Before I say things that insinuate even worse. Although I will admit that Nick Fury as a Sister of Battle, kind of cool looking. There's one that just has Nick Fury's face. I'm sorry.
Right. I'll keep an eye out for that one in the official release package.
Because he has one eye.
Oh, right. Yeah, accidental puns. Well done. Right. In terms of upcoming releases, obviously, we've had the past, we've had the future. The present is we are getting Salamanders and Imperial Fist. They'll be out by the time this video goes live. So I hope you're Garadon fans and new person whose name I completely have forgotten.
Oh, the guy from Small Soldiers.
Oh, what's his name? The flipping salamander.
Agatoni.
It sounds like... Is it Agatoni? Yeah, sorry. You said Agatoni. I was like, hang on, that's just pasta. No, Agatoni.
He's a hungry boy.
Third company captain with a damage 4 Thunderhammer. Obviously, he's probably still going to suck, but
no,
it's nice.
No, he is the best Primaris character. Hands down. The best.
Oh, good. That's just what we needed.
So right now, this is gonna make Michael a little bit unhinged, so I do apologize, Michael. Space Marines are completely balanced.
Yeah, I'm aware that they're not as broken as everyone says they are. I've heard horrible things, but they are winning tourneys, but they're not winning them all. It's just the reason I think sorry, go on.
They won Iron Hands prior to their nerf, where it was very clearly rules as intended versus rules as written, which GW really needs to proofread their rules. Iron Hands were dominating the tournament scene, but every list was different. Now, what this shows is internal balance of the codex. Every unit in the codex is actually decent right now.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. The problem is if you over-tune an army to have not good external balance, that internal balance kind of doesn't matter. But they've addressed that.
Right now, the current tournament-winning armies are all over the place, just like they are in Age of Sigmar. You can see this in the ITC and ETC, ETC being the more unbalanced version of the game, but ITC being more structured and more set. You can actually see that there are multiple armies winning right now, And it's good to actually see Space Marines back on top because they were not doing well. Even the Gilliman bomb was bad. Also, I find it funny that Lord Gilliman isn't as good as a captain that you just pay 2 command points to make a chapter master.
Yeah, that's the standard premise of named characters are never as good because they're not as flexible, and even when they're not on the same rank as the unnamed characters, that flexibility of unnamed characters is exceptionally useful. I mean, I know my Sigmar a little better, but I doubt many people swear by taking, well, actually, I don't think there's many people taking the named characters for the Stormcast when you can just take the regular characters, pick the traits you like, pick the spells you like, pick all the bits you like, as opposed to locking yourself into X, Y, and Z for a modest bonus, and also locking your army tactics down. So, yeah, I understand why that might be the case, and also they're much, 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 much cheaper.
But since Salamanders came out, for those of you that actually do play a more competitive version of the tabletop, if you're going up against Salamanders, stick to long-range firepower. Do not get in their kill zone. They can guarantee kills. So you want to make sure you stay back until you can guarantee a kill yourself. And you're going to be trading unit for unit. So always make sure you have target priority and an advantage on your opponent when you go in versus your opponent getting that advantage on you. Right now, 40k is a very skill-heavy game. If you misdeploy, you lose. If you mismove, you lose. And you really need to know target priority.
Yeah, and that has changed and hasn't changed. I remember we had a big discussion back a long time ago about the you deploy badly, you lose problem, or the your opponent is slightly better than you at the first thing in the game, you've already lost, just pack up and go home. And I still fundamentally don't like that as an idea of I deployed slightly worse than my opponent who was just the deployment god, ergo I lost. But I appreciate that the tournament scene really likes that because it means that it really rewards high skill, high tuning, high planning, and adaptability.
One of the things in ITC that they do is because you need to guarantee more kills than your opponent in every turn, you can't just wipe your opponent out turn 1. You won't gain points doing that. You'll win the game, but you'll only have a score of like 12. Where if you want to try to max out your points, you need to know when to kill something and when to leave it alone.
Even if it will kill you back if you don't.
Yep. And you have to plan for your units being traded. That's why I think ITC is incredibly balanced, but at the same time, no, I just think it's incredibly balanced.
But this is the reason why I will never get into the competitive team. 1, it doesn't suit me anyway as my style of play. I like to play for fun, I like to play for fluff. And 2, I am just bad at micromanagement. I can manage a class of 30 kids, broadly, but managing to manage an entire army and work out what my opponent's doing in front of me, nah, can't do it. So that's not my style of play, but that's fine. That side of the game's not designed for me.
Well,
but it works for us.
If you actually watch my more recent battle reports, you'll notice that it's more narrative heavy. What I do before a battle report, I ask my opponent what type of game that he wants to do. Does he want to do a fun one? Does he want to do a narrative play? We always use matched play rules regardless.
Of course.
If it's like a narrative game, we both agree not to shoot each other's HQs because we want to see the Swarmlord versus named character number 27.
I mean, you're not allowed to shoot their HQs unless you have certain units, which are becoming more prevalent.
Well, no, like a Swarmlord has 12 wounds. You can shoot him.
Ah, yes, that one. Yeah, of course.
That's what we mean. We want more narrative-heavy things, so we shoot all the little Griblies, let the Tyranids get close, even though we could just take 4 las cannons, fire at the Swarmlord, and just gone. Which is why the Swarmlord needs a buff and needs to lose 3 wounds. That would be a huge buff to him.
But you then have to change the Hive Tyrant's wounds accordingly, because why would the Swarmlord be 75%, well, 75% as tough as a normal Hive Tyrant, and then you potentially make Flyrants a little bit more annoying.
Oh no, you make them so much better by making them 9 wounds. Tyranids need it.
Yeah, I agree. They probably do, but there's fun on their own side. But then would it be too much to make Hive Tyrants untouchable?
Well, considering that every army, just about except for Chaos, has sniper units, I still think that it is fair.
Yeah, the Tau have a total of 1. It's called sniper drones,
and they're so good. Oh my god, are they good?
But as someone who doesn't like them for one reason or another, I don't know. Like, being able to snipe off a Hive Tyrant with a railgun is pleasant and at least gives me a chance because I'm playing Tau. But that's just me, and I'm not going to get into a meta argument because I'm not going to win that one, and I just make myself look like a prat.
Oh. Actually,
so I will
Michael,
defer.
You might like this. I recently bought 4,000 points of Tau.
You mean you sold off the 4,000 you had when we first started the show and then bought them back?
Not the same ones. Actually, 2 of them are the same ones. I found that out after dipping them because they had they had the purple and green on them. I was really happy about that. But
yeah, because I remember you had the 8 around the time I was building mine.
Yep. Now I have. Oh, sorry. I do apologize about the train going by. But I do have mostly XV9 hazard close support units. And XV88-6, so XV8s with plasma guns.
8 is broadsides.
Well, yeah, the broadside battlesuit is the XV88-6 is the broadside battlesuit with plasma over missiles. Yeah, knowing unit numbers.
I mean, you can already take a broadside with missiles and plasma. It's
no.
in the codex.
It's railguns and plasma. It's just its code number.
Okay, yeah, you can still have rail rifles and plasma in the base book. But yeah, thanks, Forge World. I know my battlesuits roughly well.
I'm sorry, I love the Forge World tab.
I admit, I've come round to the new style of broadside quite nicely. Like, the railguns on shoulders with me, but I love the rail rifle in hand. I just love that style of broadside. So I'm okay with them making the broadside what they did, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, I like the new broadside, but I have 6 of the old ones and then 6 of the Forge World ones. So I'm really, really, really happy with how they turned out. Though I don't have any, like, I have to rip off some rail cannons, rail guns from them and put missiles on a few of them just to make them a little bit more competitive.
Fair. Right, we've been going for 40 minutes and we've barely touched on anything in the news because you keep getting distracted.
Sorry. Also, Remleiz is here.
Hello.
Oh god, that joke's back. Yeah. So, yeah, some more Primaris came out. The Impulsor, the Infiltrators, I think the Eliminators maybe. They've gone into Kill Team. And speaking of Kill Team, that's getting some new stuff. Zone Mortalis is back, ish.
It's okay. All of you Kill Team fans that play Death Guard, Kill Team is still not balanced. You'll still win every game.
Fair. We've got a new Heavy Bomber for Aeronautica. I think Knights came out or are about to come out for, Titanicus. And on the Sigmar side, we are getting Feast of Bones, a box set pitting the Ossiarch Bone Reapers and all of their awesomeness against the recombined Ogre or more tribes, which is just Ogre Kingdoms put back together again and then sort of subdivided within the book, a la Gloomspite Gits, a la Orruk War Clans. Both of them look hilarious. The Ossiarch probably are the stronger force, but either way, both look fun. Glad to see them. Welcome back, Ogres. I'm going to stick to my Cities of Sigmar. Come at me in my Drake spawn.
I think I'm up to 4 Age of Sigmar armies now.
Yeah, I've got Stormcast, Idonet, Daughters, about 2-3 sub-factions within cities. I've sorely considered Fire Slayers at one point. I'll probably get an Ossiarch at some point. I want Gloomspite. I want War Clans. I want, if they ever fix Everchosen, I want a Varangard army. Yeah, I want a lot of stuff for Sigmar. I really do.
Well, right now I'm building up my studio, so I'm just building up the studio collections and everything.
Yeah, fair.
The The only one that I intend to play is Demons of Khorne, Demons of Slaanesh, and Daughters of Cain. And I'm spelling it like my last name, not the way that they spell it, because they spell it wrong.
Fair. Yeah,
You guys
Marathi
get
is
Gotrek,
still.
right?
Yeah, I considered Fire Slayers, but I don't know. I'm not that. I say this having an army of Idoneth and Daughters. Painting flesh is still something I'm not comfortable with that much. So painting an entire army like that would get very annoying for me. Also, they're so bulky and expensive.
It's not an entire army. It's just Gotrek. That's what you need.
Yeah, but you have to put him in a Fire Slayers army or an Order army that really should be Fire Slayers or Dispossessed for the sake of continuity. So yeah.
I mean, if you have a difficulty painting that much flesh, just get yourself an air gun.
Rented accommodation on the 9th floor.
Just spray paint in your bathroom. You have a vent.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the vent. I'm worried about the missing the target and getting it all over the surface.
Airbrushes are really good. They typically don't spray too much paint everywhere. I've never had a problem with getting paint on everything. Just a cardboard box usually does the trick. Like, especially if you're living in even an apartment setting, getting an airbrush would save you a lot of time. Just make sure you wear a mask or something protective to cover your mouth.
Yeah, I'll take it under advisement. Like, I've not got an amount to do. I'm halfway through Hydra. But other than that, there isn't really anything I'm buying that I'd really want to spray until I get more Hydras. So I'm kind of okay for now. Though speaking of Khorne, that's a very nice mini segue into Chaos and coming back to Zone Mortalis. Zone Mortalis came back not for Kill Team. It's back for Necromunda. Sorry, I got that wrong. So this is all from Spiel, the Internationale Spieltage. I think that's how that's said. And we've got the reveal for Necromunda Dark Uprising, the Palanitan forces against the Corpse Grinder Chaos Cult.
Can I just take a moment to appreciate that one of the cultists has a buzzsaw flail? That can't be practical.
Wow. Yeah, it's like it's just cabling with a buzzsaw on the end of it. That is chaos.
And that's also being released alongside a new book called The Book of Ruin, which allows you to do Chaos cults, Corpse Grinder cults, and Gene Stealer cults.
Yeah, the Helot Chaos cults. So are the Corpse Grinders like not chaos? Or am I missing something?
It reminds me of something from the Necromunda rulebook of a cannibalistic Khornate cult. So it might be tied to them.
Yeah, that would make sense. And the Helot, I'm guessing, name makes me think Slaanesh. I don't know why. Just does. But we will see exactly who they are in a bit. And good to see Gene Stealer cults. Hopefully, we'll get some really unique Gene Stealer cult miniatures and they won't just borrow models from 40k.
No, they'll probably just take the Kilomorph and be busted again.
Part of me is wondering, just look at what the word Helot means, and it's apparently the slave class from ancient Sparta. So this makes me wonder, could this be pit slave gangs?
More than likely.
That would be cool. I would not be against that. And speaking of pit fighters, Warcry has got a new warband, the Spire Tyrants, which are the Archaon Everchosen warband, with a Beastman who carries handcuffs around for some reason, and a Chaos Dwarf. I think that might be the first Chaos Dwarf in Age of Sigmar.
One of the models looks like Woody Harrelson.
We're also not going to talk about the reason why a Beastman who's literally devoted to Slaanesh would carry around handcuffs.
They're Chaos Undivided, they're Archaon's Everchosen.
Oh, no, they do gruesome things. I would strictly devote them to Slaanesh.
But I know you know this because you know your Sigmar, I'm sure. But Archaon doesn't have Slaanesh quite within his pantheon because when he got, well, his mount is got 3 heads for Khorne Dean Schnurgle. He told the Great Horn Rat to naff off, and Slaanesh was trapped in Ulgaish, and so couldn't really get involved. So I don't know what Archaon's relationship to Slaanesh really is, off the top of my head.
Well, this is strictly just Beastman's connection to Slaanesh.
Yeah, I only bring it up because these are the Spire Tyrants and the ever-chosen sub-faction, if you like. So they are going to be Archaon's boot, and therefore are undivided by default, rather than being Slaaneshi or any other god aligned, because that would show an imbalance.
I've also been saving this for a while now, and I just want to say it now. Archaon out of nowhere. That is all.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
That is all. Moving on. We're not even going to acknowledge it.
I did actually get Archaon out of nowhere. Back with utterly broken. But we'll get over that. We'll gloss over it. Ogres get a Blood Bowl team. The Fire Mountain Gutbusters, who look very, very cool, I would say.
I love the little football hooligan nobblers.
Yes.
That one's got a broken bottle and he looks fucking adorable.
Yes. And this was an old announcement that I'd actually completely forgotten about. The chibi figures from Bandai are...
I did not forget about this.
Yeah, well, now we've seen them in colour. They're ready to go. And they're going to be around, hopefully, in the not too distant. Gotta be honest, I don't like the Grey Knight very much.
It's okay.
Too shiny.
No one likes their codex either.
It's just a bit too shiny. Like, all the others are very nice. I really like the Skitari Ranger. No, it's Vanguard, isn't it? No, it's Ranger. It is Ranger. So the Skitari Ranger, I really like. The Sister, and, well, I bought one of the Funko Prop Primaris, so I kind of have no moral high ground to stand on.
They are all adorable, and I love each and every single one of them, and I can't wait to get them.
I just noticed, looking at the picture, the Ultramarine is just standing on one foot, because the other foot's not on the base. That's all.
Oh, God, yeah. That's poor.
Also, one of the things that a lot of people have noticed about this, there's no edge highlighting. Their painting is very bad. These are just base colors. This is just tabletop quality. This isn't like display
I wouldn't
model.
even call it tabletop quality, to be honest. Looking at Grey Knight's Purity Seal, which is like, gold and silver.
Yeah, the Purity Seal. And the armor's just... It's like they've just painted it with Mithril's, whatever Mithril Silver is called.
It just looks like it was just factory painted, like where you get at a normal toy shop or something.
Oh yeah, they were.
I was going to say it was.
So I'm going to use the Grey Knight one as a Dreadnought with a close combat weapon and a gun. I'm going to use the Sister one as Celestine. I'm going to use the Space Marine one as a Redemptor Dreadnought. I'm going to use the Assassin one to throw at people and I lose. I'm going to use the Skitari one as a Dune Strider.
Dune Crawler, wouldn't it be?
Oh yeah, it's Iron Strider, Dune Crawler. There we go.
Yeah, I just need to check my terminology there. Is there anything else that we haven't mentioned? But like
Dreadfane.
Dreadfane, yeah, that got some really high ratings. The Age of the Underworld's intro box, which is great to hear. Underworld's doing well. Looking forward to Beastgrave, even if I'll never play it. Though, minor point, they put the Kenothi in the Sylvaneth faction, and I'm still upset about it. Boo! Fix that, please. Yeah, other than that, not a lot to report. Black Library Advent Calendar with movie posters. There's really not a lot more than that to say, I think.
Do we mention Apocalypse?
Oh yeah, Apocalypse got updated. I
Woo!
don't know how many people... I don't know how many people play it. I really don't.
So for all three of you out there who play it?
I've played it once. My girl Riley, she plays it quite a bit. She likes it. I'm going to probably ask her to do a battle report of her Slaanesh versus my sisters at some point using the Apocalypse system. But that's going to have to wait until I get back down to Arizona.
That's fair. That is fair.
Which I just came back from that. One other thing you could talk about is Valhalla. That recently just passed. That's Miranda Wargamer Girls event, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah, I admit it kind of passed me by. I've been so busy that I kind of completely missed it. But good to hear it went well. I'm assuming you were there.
Yeah, I was. I had a huge amount of fun there. Got in a ton of different battle reports against a ton of different amazing people. Didn't get to play with Miranda directly. Like, we never got a game in. But she did braid my hair. So that's the important bit. Yeah, then afterwards went down to Arizona, hung out with Riley, then flew back up here, and next month flying out to Iceland for my birthday.
Excellent. Sounds like a very hectic but very productive schedule.
We have no idea, and it's very stressful considering that I have to get down to the city and across the entirety of New York City with only $50.
Oof.
And in
Ouch.
30 minutes.
Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll figure it out. Emperor willing, I'll get there.
Best of luck is all I can say. I've never really been to America, so I can't really.
Oh, it's not just America, it's New York City.
Good point. Good point. Right. Before we jump to questions, I'm assuming you've had time to read something, Rem, because you always usually do, unless you've been too busy holiday prepping.
Mainly that. I'm still getting through the second of the Araman novels, but I did manage to read a couple of short stories, specifically The Master's Bidding and Liberator.
Right. What are they about?
Right. So The Master's Bidding is basically about an Iron Warrior's dreadnought, who's also the warsmith of his warband, basically sending out a summons to representatives from each of the traitor legions to come and basically present him with a gift, and in turn he will present the winner with a huge bag full of soul stones. And the only people who come to visit him are a Night Lord, a Thousand Sun, and a Word Bearer. And I think there might have been someone else. Oh, and someone from the Emperor's Children as well. And basically they all have to tell stories, and whoever tells the best story gets the prize. Okay?
Right.
So the Night Lord starts things off saying like, okay, well, we found a way through this really dangerous quantum singularity type thing, but if you get through it undamaged, you come out right in the heart of like Segmentum Solar and, in an undefended part of the Imperium, which you can strike out at ease. So if you give me the stones, then we can do a joint raid on the Imperium from here. And the Iron Warrior's like, nah, that's a shit story, mate. Emperor's Children, dude, what's your story? I pissed off Typhus. That's nothing. Piss off. Okay, Wordbearer, what's your story? We basically made an army of mutants and defended the world from the Imperium. That's a shit story. You should be out conquering, not just defending, a world full of mutants. Go away. Okay, Thousand Sun, what's your story? Well, I was a scribe of knowledge back on Prospero and blah, blah, and it's like, that's not a story. I'm bored now. And so all the other Chaos Spacemen get pissed off of the Iron Warriors and start shooting the Iron Warriors, and by the end of it, the Thousand Sun runs off with Soul Stones because, he's a smart one. The end. It's a very short but kind of crazy story. And also the Storm Wardens get mentioned in that as well, which is a nice touch. That one from the Death Watch RPG.
I knew the name. Yeah, I knew the name. I couldn't place them, but I knew the name.
The Highlander Marines.
Right. Yeah, that isn't one I'm going to pick up anytime soon. I'll be completely honest.
And the other story, are you familiar with the law regarding Constantinius the Liberator?
The name rings a bell, but that's about it.
The Sons of Gilliman Sergeant, who, with his squad, basically liberated the world from a gene stealer cult, and then the entire world turned on them because the cult were all the world's leaders and politicians. And so, in response, Constantinus goes, all right, well, fuck you then. Fuck this. Fuck the Empire. I'm taking over.
Oh, yes, the Renegades. I remember them now.
Well, this story is kind of interesting because, it starts off with, the capital of his empire being invaded by the Iron Knights chapter, but then, it cuts back, a few months prior, where he's basically subjugating other Chaos Lords, and it cuts back to a few months prior still, where he and his squad are turning against the Imperium and go renegade. Then it cuts back to a few months earlier still, where they just started conducting their purge of the Gene Stealer cult. And then it cuts back to present day from the perspective of the Iron Knight, and it's basically kind of making the same echoes, we will defend the Imperium and uphold the Imperium at any cost, which is what Constantinus said in the previous scene. So it's like, ooh, foreshadowing much. It was kind of an interesting little story, that.
Yeah, fair. Does it end in either side dying?
No, it's left completely ambiguous.
Good. That's useful. Yeah, fair. Alexis, have you had a time to read anything on your travels?
I just got done with that new Corsair book about the Corsair and the Rogue Trader working together. Hang on, I'll try to find its name because my phone, for some reason, has the title of it as Corsair, the Face of, and then cuts it off, but it's also over the album cover, which is awesome.
Oh dear.
Let me try to find the name of it really quickly.
Yeah, I don't remember this one coming out. Does this one ring a bell to you, Red?
This isn't brand new. This is a little bit older, but it was still really good, and I highly suggest it. Let me go to my audiobook section.
Was it Corsair Face of the Void?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Rem is an encyclopedia of lore. Just ask.
I know the lore, like, up and down, left and right, everything about it. I just cannot remember names. For the life of me, I cannot remember names. But
That's fair enough.
one of my favorite moments in this book was when you find out that a girl is 500 years old. Like, I was just like, what? A human that's 500? And also speaking Eldari to a Corsair who just, like, undermines her? I was like, yo, that is so cool. I love anything with the Rogue Traders in it because I am gearing up to play a Rogue Trader game very soon. I'll actually be playing an Eldar character, of all things. I also listened to Celestine, Dark Imperium, Faith and Fire, Harlequin's A Deadly Wit, and Our Martyred Lady are the most recent ones that I had a chance of either reading or listening to. And out of all of them, Celestine is easily in my top 3 best books of 40k of all time. The second being Fulgrim and the first being Master of Mankind. But like, I can rant for hours about Celestine. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, speaking of Rogue Traders, that just reminded me of something from when I was reading through Outer Dark. How one of the chapter slaves of the Kakarodons was formerly a rogue trader, and the reason they're now a chapter serf is basically the Kakarodons found them on this world where they purged a whole bunch of Xenos and gave them the ultimatum. It's like, okay, you got a choice. You're going to act as a serf or we can kill you. I'll be a serf. Good choice. Bang.
Which is actually surprising because they do have to listen to his oath. But then again, Space Marines never, like, depending on the writer, they tend to forget what Space Marines are and aren't justified by.
Bear in mind, these are the Kakarodons who are pretty much borderline renegade at this point, especially when, they're actively associating with the Ashen Claws, who are renegade.
Friend of a friend, that whole argument.
Unfortunately, enemy of my enemy doesn't really work in Imperium. You are Imperial or you are not.
Well, I don't know.
Especially when the Kakarodons are actively trading with the Ashen Claws.
And certain commanders and certain events do make exceptions. The whole Dante Silent King thing and all the stuff around the devastation. Yeah, there are events where Imperials and others will team up for a very short period of time, but there's a difference between, right, we need you right now, we'll work together, and we are actively trading with each other.
Yeah.
And yes, I know Gilliman of Rain is a whole nother kettle of fish, and I'm taking that one. We had one shipping.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, that ship has sailed, and, yeah.
No, my new current ship is actually Greyfax and Celestine. Just saying.
You've been shipping that since before you left the podcast. That has not changed.
I know, but they're so adorable together. Especially, like, one of my favorite moments was actually in Our Martyred Lady when Greyfax needed to send a message through the warp storm and she didn't have her psi focus. And so she uses Celestine as the psi focus and they both see inside each other's minds. And Greyfax is lying to Celestine saying, I don't want you to see Imperial secrets. You're not permitted to see these things. And Celestine's like, I know what you fear. And she's like, shut up. And they dive inside each other's mind. Greyfax sees the realm of the Emperor, which is the beacon of the Astronomicon with all the dead there. And Celestine sees that Greyfax was actively terrified of the Mind Shackle Scarab still being in her, being afraid that she could never kill Trazine, and all sorts of other things. And it's such a powerful moment in a book, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that's very fair. I remember that quote coming out, and yeah.
Like, Celestine is a really, really well-written but bad character. Ironically. Like, I love her to death, but I also hate that she always dies at the end of her stories. But I understand why she dies. But at the same time, I'm just like, can she just live once?
It's the Lucius syndrome. You know, isn't because like in little Lucius' stories, he like dies about 3 or 4 times in the same fucking book.
Yeah. Or in Celestine, where she's reminiscing about all of her old lives. She's like, at one point I was walking side by side with the Emperor. At another, I was a Repentia. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. What?
And at another point, she got cut in half by a door.
Yep.
Ow.
Although I still think my favorite thing is because I had it out with the author of that book on Twitter, where me and a few other women were like, what the crap is Shroud of Night, which is like the worst written book by that author. And he makes a nod at it, having Celestine touch her neck and feeling the gruesome scar of what happened. And then she touches it again and she's like, I can't even remember this. And it's just gone. And I was like, all right, you earned back my favor. Sorry, that was greatly amusing to me.
Oh, I just remembered, speaking of book, that's the one thing. That was the one thing I tried to mention earlier. We got the identity of the next Primarch novel.
Yes, we did. It's Lion.
Written by David Geimer.
Ooh,
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and having read a lot of some of Geimer's work and spoken to the man on the show, I have high hopes for that novel.
After reading his Ferrus Manus novel, I don't. no offense to David Geimer, because you say his Age of Sigmar stuff's great, but after reading the Ferrus Manus novel and I Am Medusa,
was the Ferrus Manus novel bad, or was it just a living meme?
Memes aside, it wasn't that good overall. Even by the standards of the other Primarch novels,
which are very hit and miss.
Yeah, most of the Primarch novels, let's be honest, are crap.
The best Primarch novel is Malkador. Still love that that's in the Primarch novel series as a short story.
Yeah, it's kind of.
But yeah, I know. But I know Geimer's good. Like, I'm snap buying Court of the Blind King when it comes out just before Christmas, and the Hamilcar books are fantastic. So I at least have hope for it. They'll be interested to see where exactly in the timeline it's pitched.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't Gav Thorpe doing this one, considering he did most of the Dark Angels stuff in 40k in general.
Though that could be for the same reasons why ADB doesn't write Nightlord. He said everything he needs to say.
I suppose, yeah.
Well, I hope they keep the themes going.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. Because who wrote the little Dreadwing short? Was that Geimer?
I think that was Geimer, yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
So yes, that's one to pencil in and look forward to next year when that drops.
Yes, that just leaves who's going to be next.
Well, who's left? Sang, Horus,
Mortarion, Dawn, Alfarius.
They've got Yugate Han.
Yeah, we've got Khan. Vulcan?
We've had Vulcan.
Yeah, we have, sorry.
We've had Gilliman, Raz, Magnus, Pers Rabbi, Lorgarth, Orgrim, Ferrus, Jagatai, Vulcan, Korax, Angron, and Kurz. And now Night Lions next.
So that leaves 5. Alfarius, Horus, Sang, Mort,
Mortarion.
And Dawn. Yeah. Yeah, bang on.
And let's be honest, who's going to be last? Horus or Sanguinius is going to be the one of them two, let's be honest.
I hope Sanguinius.
Yeah. Oh, one thing we did find out in regards to the Lion story, it's not going to be Fall of Caliban, much to my chagrin. It's going to be about the Ghoul Stars.
The Ghoul Stars? Have we?
Yeah.
Okay, because the Ghoul Stars, the only time I've ever seen any lore about stars is Hellbreak insane and decided to turn the bloody hell around.
Well, there was also that bit, where Korax told the Ashen Claws to fuck off to the Gold Stars.
Oh yeah, that too. Yep.
So maybe Dark Angels versus Ashen Claws. Who knows?
It would make sense because sort of that region of space was Imperium Secundus, and well, then the Dark Angels were a bit north of that. So yeah, it'd be interesting if that's what they decide to do. We will see. I suspect we will see. I can't really say I've really read anything aside from in White Dwarf this month. 40 facts about Age of Sigmar, and some of them are hilarious and terrifying. So the Caradron code, the vote of no confidence in Caradron is the Krenka Garonga, literally translated as leadership driving us to a place of no alcohol.
Isn't there that one channel that does the 40 lore thing? I feel like that's a channel.
Yes, we don't speak about that.
But is it that bad?
It's that one.
I am confused, but let's continue.
But the one that really stuck out to me was the one where the guy who designed the cities of Sigmar is actually the Changeling.
Wait, what? What a helpful demon.
The visionary architect who helped design several of the cities. Such as the trickster still subterfuge, he has ensured a lot of these cities were built on places of arcane power, and their construction sped by industrialized use of unstable realm stone. Though most metropolises have yet to pay the price for their foundations, the works of Tzeentch have already undermined Excelsis and are gnawing at Hallowheart and Brightspear on a daily basis.
Neat.
Also, Nagash has... You know how Tzeentch has got the Well of Eternity?
Yeah.
Fear of Death? Nagash has got one too now. Because when he flipped Shaish's magic around, he made something so death magic loaded that even he can't go into it.
I still love Nagash's nickname.
He's got a lot.
Yeah, but I think you have a feeling of which one I am thinking of.
Probably. And the other one that I found quite good was when Gorka Morka gets into an argument or just gets a headache, it splits back into Gorka Mork to have the argument with itself. Which I like.
Do you remember that time that Gork punched Mork so hard that he split the universe in half and created all of everything? That's an actual quote.
Yeah, welcome to destruction. Just welcome to destruction.
Oh.
It is weird and wonderful. And that's probably 40k. It might as well be 40k.
It is. It's from the Prophets of the Wa.
Yeah, but yeah, destruction in Sigmar is equal parts wacky and brilliant. So I kind of love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, the Inferno comics came out.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's one with Inquisitor Sabathiel on it or something.
Yeah, she has a short story in that issue.
I'm really hoping they actually, finish her story.
As in that Sabathiel?
Not Muriel Sabathiel, no.
I was going to say.
No, Inquisitor Sabathiel is the Inquisitor in Aegis Terminator armor.
Right. Fair enough.
The one from the comics.
Yeah, she also has a Force Halberd, which is really neat. And then she got shot in the head because the comics weren't selling.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, anything else in news and commentary, or shall we move on to some questions?
I think we're good.
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay. Yeah, so if we're ready, Rem, questions, or you want anything else to add?
Yeah, we can do questions.
Sounds good.
Okay. Will in time the Legion of the Damned start to look like Primaris Marines instead of standard Marines based on the demon/ghost theory?
Depends on which theory you subscribe to, I suspect.
Well, I mean, if you read Celestine, it's very clear that the souls are still there, and it's just a resurrection process. They're not demons, they're just angels.
Though the line between angel and demon is a little blurry.
Oh my god, wait, can I make the quote? The line between demon and angels. Oh God, I cannot remember the Hellraiser quote because that's where that quote comes from. Depends
Fair.
largely where you're standing.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that what Lorgar said as well?
Oh, it's
Yes.
Lorgar's quote. Yes, the
No,
difference between
it's
gods
not
and demons,
Lorgar's quote. Don't you give that to Lorgar. That is Pinhead's quote from Hellraiser.
No, he changed it to gods and demons, I think.
Yes, he did.
So it is technically a Lorgar quote, but yeah, rather depends on where one is standing at the time.
Yeah, but it's
So that
quite
was in
literally
your-
Pinhead. Don't you take away my Pinhead? I love him.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not trying to
Oh,
take it away.
Which was the horror story that Pinhead actually narrated for Warhammer Horror?
I cannot remember.
So they only did one.
He did. I'm hoping to get Rob Zombie for one.
I mean, they got Brian Blessed. Who knows who they'll get next?
They had David Tennant and Catherine Tate as well.
Yeah, they did Warhammer Adventures, didn't they?
Catherine Tate did Armata Lady. She was Greyfax.
Oh yeah, sorry. David Tennant and Billy Piper did Warhammer Adventures.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the Legion of the Damned question, I think it will only be a matter of time until we see Primaris Legion of the Damned in miniature, because that will just be a really nice way to rebrand them. But in many ways, I'd like to see them stay as the old school, as like they are the vengeful revenants of the Space Marines long since past, and Primaris will have to go and be dead for a long, long time before they qualify for Damned Legionnaire status.
Can I bring
don't
up
know.
a sad thing about this?
Of course.
The Legion of the Damned aren't in the Codex. They're getting Legend.
They're not even getting like a White Dwarf index.
As far as I found, no. Not yet, anyway. I'm hoping they do, but as of right now, it doesn't look like it. It does not look promising. It looks like GW is going to discontinue the line.
Ah, that's disappointing.
Before they relaunch it with Primaris Legion of the Damned.
Well, let's hope. I mean, they can have Ferrus Manus leading it since he was literally resurrected in Emperor Master of Mankind.
I didn't really think it was him being resurrected. I thought it was just like a viable shot in the shape of Ferrus Manus, essentially.
Yeah, but it was kind of just him. The Emperor clapped his cheeks and brought him back to life momentarily.
He's like, I must fight Draconian, but I'm so dumbly thick I keep clapping and making Ferrus Manus fireballs. Or something. However the meme goes. Right.
Anyway.
I'm actually pretty sure I quoted that meme wrong, so...
I probably did as well. Who knows? Anyway, this one might probably be good for you, Michael, for your Tactica Imperialis video series. Can you shoot a lasgun underwater?
It's a pile of photons. So can you physically pull the trigger and get a photon to come out? Yes. Will it hit its target? Probably not. Because of a phenomenon called refraction. So you know when you like look into water and you see something, you go to put your hand in it and you actually miss? I'm sure you've done that. You see something underwater, you go to grab it and you miss. That's because the light gets bent as it enters the water because of a thing called refractive index. So in essence, it would probably get bent, though maybe it wouldn't, because it's traveling straight through the medium of the water, which is all got one refractive index. So maybe if you filled the gun's chamber with water and were able to still do the quantum state jump, that would work so that the beam constantly propagated through water.
Excuse me.
I mean, the easy way to test it is, can you use a laser pointer to point water? If yes, you can use a lasgun underwater. Somebody do that and let me know in the comments.
Quick, everybody, jump into the water with electronics. Michael suggested this.
I said laser. I need a laser. Yeah, also you've got to worry about the bloody circuits and everything getting fried, which is another valid concern.
Stick it in a watertight baggie, you'll be fine.
And that would then even have even worse refraction because you're traveling through the air through the bag, being bent in the bag, and then bending again, going through the water. Very, very messy. Still going to transmit through it, so.
Fair enough.
Oh my god, that Dread Jump pack looks awesome.
do we mention about the jump at Dreadnought?
I think you might have said it in passing.
Oh well. The question for everyone: who is the best waifu, and why is it Ephraim Stern?
The best waifu is obviously Fulgrim.
Is he not husbando?
Nope. He
No
is both.
comment.
Actually, if I were to pick like a best woman in 40k, it'd probably be... Let's see. There's Latara Sauron, but she's currently unknown. Celestine will always come back to you.
But is also dead.
Yeah, but she'll come back. Greyfax is really good, but I would probably take Maka or Taldir.
Shadowsun?
Shadowsun is okay, but the Eldar are so pompous that I can't stand reading about them.
Shadowsun's a Tau.
Yeah, I meant to say Tau. The Tau is so pompous that I can't stand reading about them.
It's interesting with Shadowsun.
Isn't Taldir dead? Or is it Maka who's dead? Which one's in turn within a Wraith Knight?
Taldir is dead and inside a Wraith Knight, and Maka is the pilot. Or Maka is the Farseer, and they have the twin to pilot it.
Right. Yeah, just to jump to Shadowsun for a second. I know this is a tangent I accidentally created, but I was doing some research into the Last of Kiru's Line novella.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the one where Shadowsun sass blasts the Emperor's style, I think.
Yes, that was, yeah.
But reading into it, it seems like aside from Shadowsun sass blasting the Emperor, it's not very well received. In terms of it really sort of craps all over Shadowsun's supposed tactical genius and has to be bailed out repeatedly and is shown to be an idiot repeatedly. But one thing I've actually found interesting about Shadowsun is that everyone thinks that she's like this perfect paragon and diddly dee, but she is actually, as Alexis said, really kind of arrogant. And to quote Lord Jaraxxus, her arrogance was nearly her undoing, to paraphrase, in that she got cocky, and that's why she nearly got assassinated, which is then why the Perfectia campaign happened. So yeah, it's interesting you brought that one up.
Speaking of Shadowsun, I just found it funny in the Farsight novel where he's basically trying to be all nice and soppy and romantic to her, and she was basically saying, like, could you stop that? It's embarrassing. Basically,
yeah, I think he just put his hand on hers before she went into...
Yeah.
Like, remove your hand, she's unseemly. It's like, oh, sorry.
Well, that's also because GW doesn't know how to write romance novels.
And to be honest, shipping Farsight and Shadowsun at this point would be a bad idea considering what came after.
Yeah.
What was the term? Yandere?
Yes.
Pass.
I think. I'm not sure.
Leave a comment below if you know what type of dairy it is. Who knows?
What if you're lactose intolerant and can't stand dairy? I'm sorry.
Right. Since I have the 2019 Space Marine Codex and the Ultramarines Codex supplement, which supplement should I get next?
Depends on what you want out of the game.
Well, as of right now, the Salamanders are one of the most powerful. Iron Hands are still ridiculously good. If you have 18 Centurions, Raven Guard are the way to go. Ultramarines are really solid, and their ability to fall back and keep firing is insanely good. Don't get the Black Templar, because you might as well play Blood Angels. The Dark Angels are bad. The Space Wolves are bad. Don't get Space Wolves. They're literally the worst of the Space Marines, and that includes Grey Knights and Death Watch. But as for back to the actual codexes, Imperial Fist are pretty standard. It's what I use because they're the easiest to remember. You don't get cover. You explode on 6s with bolt weapons. But their combos are a little bit convoluted, so keep that in mind when you play them. Aside from that, I would probably do Salamanders as they're the best, or wait for Crimson Fists.
Yeah, I think for power, Sally seemed to be in the strongest position right now, but given have we got all the supplements now? No, I don't think we do. So that is still asterisk subject to change, and also they may nerf them, like they did Iron Hands. So it depends on what you want out of your books, really? Do you want to learn about more stuff? Do you want to learn about exploiting gameplay stuff? Or is it about flavor and fluff and coming up with fun thematic armies? Because to me, the Imperial Fist seems like a really good way to make a classic Space Marine army with bolter lines and supplemented with heavy armor. And while I know that any Space Marine army can do that, that style of fighting with the Imperial Fist is something I'd quite like to do if I could paint yellow. And I can't, even with contrast, I don't think I could.
Or here's the, I don't want to say better option, but here's another option. Paint your Marines the way that you want to. Paint them to be a successor chapter, and then literally flop between the tactics until you find the one that works for you.
Also that, if you can afford it.
Well, I mean, getting the codexes is cheap.
It's 20 quid a throw, isn't it?
Like I said, getting them is cheap. I'm not going to advise you how to get them.
Sigh.
Oh, you can get them at cost, can't you?
Well, I get them at 40% off.
Yeah.
You're a retailer pretty much, so you've got advantages.
Yes.
Yeah, the rest of us plebs have to suffer with full price releases.
Well, most game stores actually do 15% off. So
well, actually, I've got Element Games up the road from me, and I've been meaning.
Do not online say how much they give a discount on GW stuff.
Yeah, I'm saying they're up the road, and I know they're there. I've shopped there. I think I usually go to my GW because it's closer and I can't be asked to walk the mile to Element Games. But if I want to go gaming, I'll almost certainly go to. They've just got a ginormous gaming hall in the back.
I also find that non-GW stores are better for gaming. Mostly because you can bring in models from other games and just be like, this is the Keeper's Secrets. And people would be like, Nito Mosquito, is that from Creature Caster? It looks amazing. 100 times better than GW's demons. Yes. Yes, it is. I don't have a bias.
Of course. All right, next question.
Question for Michael. Will you do Alexis's old intro?
For the same reason as I won't do that
intro.
damn bloody wrestling song, no. I like my career where it is, and I don't want to be ripped students at 10. I already have enough trouble.
So I know a wrestling quote that somebody is going to leave in the description down below, and it's something to do with 1998 and The Undertaker and a Spanish announcer table.
Probably something to do with the choke slam from The Undertaker through the Spanish announced.
Yep.
Probably.
I thought it was really through Mick Foley off the top of the Hell in the Cell, but never mind.
That went through the American announce table, I think.
No, it was that exact thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good God Almighty, he's broken it and all that stuff.
Remember when they tried to recreate that with Kevin Owens and they had the big fucking crash mat under the table? It was like, fucking pussy.
Anyway, getting distracted.
Wow, this took a turn that I was not expecting.
Simple answer: no. I've not rebranded the channel at all, but I'm moving the channel into a position where if my students find it, sure, they can have ammo to rip me for being a YouTuber with a huge following, to which I'll say, yes, but I have 28,000 subscribers, and 2, you watched my videos. You learned something because you watched a science video or a lore video. I hope you had fun trying to find some ammo. You won't find any. Goodbye. Have a nice day.
Also, I shied away from my old intro anyway. I've changed it up to be Norn Queen because it's more Warhammer 40k focused. Ego Queen tended to detrest. Can't say the word. But it drove people away because they thought that I was arrogant, and I guess that the name kind of gave that away. I don't know words to put here. So I changed it to Norn
suitable
Queen.
with the image you want to portray. Maybe. Yeah,
I changed it to Norn Queen. I'm praying that pulls me away from the whole Slaneshi thing, but it hasn't because people see woman and it's immediately go, she's Slaneshi, even though I have a Slanesh studio army and I've never played Slanesh in my entire life. But I digress.
Yeah, and I feel like even if any of us were to undergo as big a rebrand as that, if I was to change my character design from a Tau to a Sigmar character, let's say, I'd still be known as that Tau person for years to come.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see all the different styles on my channel, all the different characters that appear on my channel. Like, quite literally, I do have a Tau one that I'm going to show you guys really quickly.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Same.
Yeah. But
So
it's
yeah,
like,
it's
I'll still only be known for, like, Sisters of Battle, Tyranids, and Slanesh for some reason.
yeah, it'll be interesting to look back in a few years' time if whether I step away from the platform or not, to look back on the channel and see what will I be remembered for. And I think that's what Tutorialis kind of is, partly for me. For one, it's my way of working on my teaching. It's a way for me to share my love of science and try and have some fun with a fandom that I know so well. But at the same time, it's probably my biggest USP, unique selling point for those who don't know the terminology at home, because a lot of people do 40k lore, and a lot of people probably do it better than I do, or certainly in a different format than I do, and are bigger than I am, and so will be the ones remembered as, oh, they're the 40k lore person, or they're the Sigmar lore person. I won't be remembered as that because I work under Rem, and Rem is the 40k lore god. So being remembered as the scientist,
that far.
I can't think of anyone who knows 40k lore better than you do. You are an encyclopedia.
What's really
there's
funny
always some-
is I barely
always
watch anything 40k related anymore. It's mostly tiny
I'm the
homes.
same. Like, a lot of what I watch a really diverse set of stuff on YouTube, and I do with a lot of the creators that we've worked with. Like, I try and watch Warp Time Radio if I have the time. I always watch text to speech. I've strayed away from battle reports because I don't know. I've sort of got it away from the gaming side quite a lot. But it has been interesting, and as I say, I think Tutorialis is going to be hopefully what I'm remembered for, as the not quite the Bill Nye of the 40k community. I don't want to do that, but I'm sure there'll be somebody who's like, oh yeah, as long as I don't come up with this corny an intro. I saw the Bill Nye the Science Guy intro for the first time with the Year 7 class the other day, and my god, it was weird.
Yo, don't mess with that intro.
Fabius Bill Nye the Science Guy. There you go.
No, but for me, I stick more towards introductions and everything now. I want to get people playing the game. I'm doing more lore-based battle reports, but sticking to my own stuff versus anything of current chapters and everything. We kind of etched out our little own spot and do our own campaigns. I've tried to become more professional, especially now that I know that my target demographic is actually much younger than I initially thought it was. After going to conventions and watching like little kids walk up to me saying that they watched me, I have stopped swearing. I've stopped doing as much sexual innuendos. I've strayed away from adult themes and adult concepts. I still wear like tank tops, which apparently people think are low-cut shirts, and I laugh at them for thinking that. But I've tried to portray my channel as more professional. I'm moving into the future. I'm actually writing up an entire business plan. Well, I have the business plan for the channel for the next 10 years.
That's
I'm
good.
putting the channel as an LLC. I have a whole bunch of things in the works. I have a professional painter on staff now. I have a new person for battle reports. And once I get down to Arizona, I'll have 2 additional people for the channel itself. So we're looking to do 4 to 5 battle reports. Well, probably like 3 to 5 battle reports a week.
That's many wargaming level production.
Yes. I will have a full staff and everything.
Blimey.
Nice.
Fair enough. Best of luck. It'll be interesting to come back in a couple whenever you next come back on the show, whether that's in episode 100 or in 18 episodes. That's about 8 months, or whether it's a few years down the line to think where we were. Even just thinking like where we were to where we are. Like bloody hell, I've gone from when I started the podcast I didn't have a microphone when we started the podcast. I didn't use OBS. I just used Skype and everyone else recorded my audio. the amount I've changed in the 3 years since 4 years, it's been 4 years. Oh gee whiz. In the 4 years of doing the show it's mad.
I mean, I started off homeless.
Yeah. And I think both of us owe a serious thanks to Rem for admittedly not quite picking us up from nowhere and running with us, but I had 1,500 subs back then, and within 3 months of working with you, I was up to 5K, and I was up to 10K by the time we'd done a year of the show. So take it as you will, really.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I continue to keep going. One of the biggest things that I want to do is I want to start manufacturing terrain and everything in the future for a game that I designed, that I've been designing for the past 7 years now, and it's finally ready for getting art done for it and 3D printers. We're looking at full manufacturing, so 6 to 8 3D printers, laser cut terrain, laser burning machines, laminate burning machines. We're looking for an entire future of running this channel, a separate channel, and a vlog channel as well, and pushing forward into the future of wargaming.
Yeah, and I've often said to my friends back home, if you want to do filming and make bat reps, because I won't, because I don't have the time or the right to do it, then they're always welcome to do it. And I've got a really solid base of people who admittedly don't work with me on the channel, but who are always around to discuss stuff. And yeah, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. The community that we as a Podcastus crew managed to foment, working with all those different people, whether it's in Black Library or across YouTube or elsewhere, genuinely, at times, this fandom is one of the best going. It has its problems.
Yes, it's called its Facebook.
It's got its problems, yes. But genuinely, that almost every content creator we've worked with has been a consummate professional and genuinely fantastic people to get on with. And I am really excited for the next few years, and I just hope I can be part of wherever this franchise goes next, because between the Marvel partnership, which could go in any number of directions.
God, no. Oh, God.
We talked about it on your podcast. We're not going to go there again. But that could go in any number of directions, to the refinement to the tournament scenes, the development in the lore for both systems, whether good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just looking forward to being part of it and seeing what comes.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was really, really sappy for a Wednesday morning. I'll stop now.
Here.
Yeah. Anyway, Rem, next question.
If Gellerfield blocks psychic phenomena, why doesn't every Hive City have one turned on 24/7?
Ironically,
Because there
some do.
Configurations wouldn't work.
Some actually have full void shields and everything around them.
Void Shield is not Gellerfield.
No.
I mean, Tactica is one.
They actually have both sometimes. It's rare. It's extremely rare. Because keep in mind,
I think Sorry.
Keep in mind, Hive Cities were originally planted, a good chunk of them, and you can't say all in 40k, but a good chunk of Hive Cities came from the pre-40k, like 30k Golden Age technology, where they just dropped a ship on a planet, it unfolded and became a Hive City. Or a lot of them were built around ships that landed on planets, so there is a good chance that they do have Guller fields. It's just more than likely at this time they'll never work again. But there's a Blood Angel novel, no, a Flesh Terrors novel, where they're dropping onto a planet and they can't get psychic communion to the planet because of a Guller field.
Yeah, I think there's sort of two arguments as to why Guller fields, obviously the technology is rare. Well, it's not, well, it is and it isn't rare.
Well, we can't say it's rare because literally every spaceship has it.
Yeah, that's the problem. But I think the reason that it would Hive City is a problem of scale, because the largest battleships that the Imperium's got, they're quite often dwarfed by most Hive Cities in terms of sheer area and volume. and trying to project even just a dome of Gellerfield would be incredibly taxing on the power reserves and possibly even impossible to do for the largest cities. And the second reason, as I mentioned, is if it blocks all psychic activity, then your astropathic choir doesn't work, which you really always need your astropathic choir knocking about.
One of the things that they could do is have the Gullerfield around the hive spires, and then around the space spires where they usually keep astropaths.
Yeah, that would work. Just shielding the upper echelons. Although, I don't know. I feel like there's an argument for not wanting to shuttle psychic activity in your city down, because having a psyker in your court can be very, very useful, particularly if they're of the divinatory sort.
Remember this. Inside a Gullerfield, you can still use psychic powers. As dumb as that is.
Yeah, it's a bit oxymoronic that Gellerfield is supposed to block out demonic and psychic activity, yet you can still do psychic shenanigans within them. It's just very, very difficult. Because have you read Deathwatch Shadowbreaker?
I haven't read it, but looking at game mechanics for like any of the Rogue Trader or Fantasy Flight ones, it doesn't even give you a minus for it.
But in Deathwatch Shadowbreaker, the Tower and the Inquisition reverse engineer a Gellerfield to be a full psychic shutdown to stop the Genestealers from broadcasting their location to the Hive Fleet, which I think is where this discussion started from an episode or two ago.
I could see it. Could definitely see that. Okay.
Ram?
Sorry about that. I had to fix my headset.
No, I was just waiting for Ram to pick up a new question because there was
I think my internet cut out briefly again.
Nope, he just fell asleep.
Either way, have you got any more questions?
Yes. What's your least favorite faction?
In 40k?
Yeah.
Death Guard. Like, hands down. I don't like the booger people. I don't like the way they're portrayed. They're kind of a joke when it comes down to it. Even GW is starting to pick up on them just being the joking faction. I think Mortarion is a poorly written character who's just, like I said, the Tower petty, but Mortarion, oh my god, that dude is just straight up a diva.
Yeah, the Tower.
Always his character that he's just a petulant child.
That hasn't changed. That's true.
Like, Rogel Dawn built his fortress this high. Well, I built mine 7 inches higher.
No, 7 centimeters.
Oh, 7 centimeters. Sorry.
Yeah.
Even so, the point remains the same.
Yeah.
It's just it's like, really, dude? I'm going to attack Gilliman. Here's my grand plan to attack him. Typhus pops in. Why don't we just kill him? Why don't we just, blow up his planet? That would be the easiest solution. No, we can't do that. We have to humiliate him. Why? This is why Nurgle doesn't love you. Aw, that's mean. That's literally in Dark Imperium.
For me, gameplay-wise, this is strictly gameplay. Thousand Suns. Because I haven't faced that many armies of late, but when I face Thousand Suns, and this isn't even counting the Magni Magic, whenever I face Thousand Suns, it's just like, oh, I have no armor. I'm playing Tau. Aside from shield drones, which I don't like spamming, I have no save against that. Great. My battlesuit's entire defense mechanism is gone, and also you've got a ridiculous invulnerable save, and I'm immune to 90% nonsense because all my nonsense is damage 1, just relies on good armor penetration. Yay. And also I have no psychic defense, and you have psychics for days, and it's actually quite powerful. I know it's petty, I know it's bitchy, but Thousand Suns when I've played them have annoyed me. Lore-wise, I can't think of any particular. Tyranids don't interest me, but I don't dislike them either.
Oh, you don't like the constant losers of 40k? I feel bad for my buggy boys. Actually, I read a post the other day, and I need to find this really quickly. Oh, here it is. It was on Twitter. The Tyranid race has traveled across the void of space, losing trillions of organisms while doing so to simply find food. Can you imagine the pain of a Norn queen feeling the psychic backlash of untold numbers of their children dying? Yeah, it kind of puts the Tyranids in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, and actually, I don't know why I was thinking, while I was walking home from work today, I actually started thinking, is the Tyranid's planetary consumption tactic actually energy efficient enough to keep them going? I don't know if it is, I haven't done the maths, nor would I know how much energy you get from stripping a planet clean and how efficient the energy conversion is and diddly-diddly-dee. But it got me thinking, I was like, how efficient must the Tyranid organisms be at processing food in order that they can consume everything and then consume themselves, and that powers an entire fleet worth of starships for a bit longer? And how efficient must their cells be at not using that energy when the whole ships were sleeping while they were going through dark space? I don't know. It's the Tyranids fascinate me scientifically, but I don't really care for them in lore.
This is gonna be controversial, and somebody's gonna yell at me for this. But the Zerg are better Tyranids because they have character. Just saying. Tyranids have nothing going for them. There's no reason to root for the Tyranids. The Tyranids are just the bad guy of 40k. They have no redeeming qualities. They are strictly the bad guy. They are there to kill and eat and then move on and kill and eat. And like, as a sci-fi enemy, that makes sense. But once you start playing the army, you're just like, oh wow, what in the lore did your guys do? My guys died on Baal. Okay, well, what other cool battles did they do? Oh, they died against the Tau. They also died against the Ultramarines. And died against the Orcs. And died against the White Scars. And died against the Ravenwing.
Yeah, like
the problem with the Nids in general is that GW and Blackberry don't ever do anything from their perspective, because I think it's going to be a bit too hard for them to. I wouldn't say impossible. I mean, if you can do if Blizzard can do from the Overmind's perspective, you could potentially do a story from the Hive Mind's perspective. But I think the closest thing you can do currently is just doing it from the point of view of a Genestealer cult.
One of the things that I would like to see them do, and I really think that they need to do this, is change up the Tyranids lore, because changing lore mid-flight isn't something that GW is scared of doing. They do it all the time. Look at the Necrons, which have the worst written lore out of all of the factions. But it's because they constantly change it, by the way. But what they could do is just go, the Tyranid fleet gets down to a planet, and when they absorb the Genestealer cult, they actually keep its core characters alive. They keep the Magus alive. They keep the Patriarch alive. They keep the Kilomorph and the Nexos alive, and we can actually get named ones that keep going to planets and become smarter and smarter and smarter. And when they go back aboard the ship, there's a stinger that stings them in the back of the head that takes all their information and keeps them going.
Yeah, I think maybe what you could do is sort of turn them into Swarmlord-like characters, in that they're broken down and then they are created, stored in a sort of hyper-efficient Tyrannocyte and launch once they leave system, so that they could just hit a planet and then prepare it sort of as a duo of Patriarch but yeah, it'd be interesting to see them try it. I'm not sure how well it would work, but it wouldn't be a terrible idea.
Also, one of the things that I really like is the Swarmlord is a male Tyranid, and it's the personification of the Tyrant genome. It never changes. It's a progenitor. I just think that's interesting, because if you ever look at it, it never changes. So just an interesting note there, that it is one of the Genesis creatures, like the Norn Queen.
For me, my least favorite faction is going to have to be, from a story perspective, the Necrons, because pretty much, literally every single story with a Necron in it, I found, with the exception of Devourer, I found to be incredibly boring.
I mean, having the Necrons as sort of silent antagonists works, but like I use Knights of Macragge as the example because that's the Necron in it I read, and admittedly it was like one Necron, but the Necrons, particularly if you involve their characters, are so maniacal and so insane that it doesn't click the same way. And I know you read Call the Great Work, which has got a Catan in it, so that's another kettle of fish.
I mean that character was fine because Catan and Necrons, while they're associated, they're not the same thing.
True,
but like you compare it with something like Fall of Damnos, which is arguably one of the worst books I've ever bloody read, because it was just so boring. Like I struggled to finish that one, and I think pretty much anyone who's read Fall of Damnos can probably agree with me on this.
Yeah,
it's been a while. I can't quite remember it.
It was a slog.
To put it mildly.
I don't think I actually finished it. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, a lot of the typical war books, they don't work with the Necrons. Like, they can keep describing the Necrons as, autonomous, silent,
unrelenting,
tireless,
dudes, indomitable, blah.
Dudes wielding vacuum cleaner guns. But at the same time, I just get so bored reading that. And it's like anytime that they actually have character, it's boring. It's like Trzyn was the best thing to happen to them. And it's because he has a personality.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I didn't mind him in the battle novel. Because he has a character. Because as you said, he has a character. Therefore, since he has a character, you can actually, for lack of a better term, identify with him more. You can understand his motivations better. And if you can understand the motivations better, you can actually become more endeared to the character and become more invested in the character as well.
One of the things that I absolutely hate, and I think is the worst character arc, like, because this is a what is it called when you have a character that acts just like a stereotype? I cannot remember the word for it right now, so please forgive me. But
stereotype?
No, not stereotype. Trope. The
Right.
worst trope that the Necrons have is that they're silent. Like the Silent King. Literally, when I read the whole the thing between the Blood Angels and the Silent King, I was just waiting for something interesting to happen, and they were like, build up, build up, build up, build up, nothing. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh yeah, then the Necrons left. Okay. Neat.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I actually enjoyed Devourer, because even though the majority of the book is from the Necron point of view, it's basically like a Cryptek and a few Lich Guard are fending off a crap ton of infected with Flayer virus Necrons who are like running and screaming into their lungs and they're freaking out and they're trying to escape from these things, and there's actually something akin to tension there, which makes a nice change for Necrons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see for the Necrons, because I know we're getting a Vargard Oberon short, I think, in the novella series, if I recall. I want an Imhotep novel.
Imhotep the Storm Herder.
Because he is as near to a faction leader that most Necrons have. I know the Silent King's there, but he's mostly playing behind the scenes.
He's also doing Jack and all.
Quite, but Imhotep is sort of the figurehead of the Necrons. So I think getting a novel with him, because he's got a really well-defined personality of this hyperlogical, and his sort of idea of...
I mean, it's not really a developed character because they literally say that he's hyper intelligent. That's not good enough. Like, I know this is weird to say, but saying that somebody is super smart is their character isn't a character.
But it's a starting point to build a character on, and that's what this novel could do.
Like, if they did an entire novel, like, which I'm hoping is what we're both talking about this, where they do it from his perspective and he actually talks, I'd be okay with it. Like, personally, I would like, Hive Tyrants to be able to talk. I mean, there's no reason that they can't. They're essentially godlike psychers who can absorb the minds of people around them. Why wouldn't they be able to talk?
Yeah, maybe like psychic projecting into people's minds rather than talking, because I don't know if they have vocal cords that can form speech that we would understand.
Well,
but,
I mean,
like,
it's Tyranids. They just evolved to have it.
True, but I think like doing an emperor and psycho projecting the hive mind into people's heads to communicate could be quite fun.
I still like the idea that the psychic scream of the Tyranids is just the Meow Mix song. Anyway, continuing.
Damn it, where's my desk?
Okay, can a Space Marine stay as a scout? And if so, does that work for rank?
Sergeant Talayan, yes.
Yeah, I think you do go out of the scout company to get your full training, but you can go back to lead it, like scout sergeants and whatnot.
Yeah, because Tyrellian's like, really old man.
Yeah.
A big bushy beard.
Great big bushy beard.
And we know that people can go back to the 10th company because the Vanguard Primaris are 10th company now. So it's certainly okay to go back to 10th company, though you wouldn't go into being a normal scout because you're too experienced and they're the trainees. So you need to make sure you're leading the trainees like sergeant or master of recruits or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Also, some chapters keep the Primaris separate from their chapters, so they have 11th company and 12th company.
True.
Right, okay. How are Space Marine chapters of an unknown founding reinforced for Primaris?
Ultramarines.
I think Robin McNiven actually said on one of his Facebook posts a while ago that they get given the technology to make their own.
The Blood Ravens were definitely given the tech to make their own.
I'm pretty sure the Kakarans were given the same tech as well.
Yeah. I think the initial wave of reinforcement, like if they give them Primaris in their colours straight away, if they don't know, they'll probably just default to Ultramarine if they're giving them some. But obviously, once you give them the tech to create them, or at least the tech adepts who can make them using their gene seed, because I know there was a big to-do about who actually makes the Space Marines, because the Dark Angels don't want the Mechanicus adepts anywhere near their stuff, but they need to be there to make the Primaris. So, yeah, I'm not sure in all truth, but I think that giving them the tech to do it themselves is about right.
Okay, how are we doing for time, by the way?
We've been going for about 1 hour 50 and change, so about 5 or 10 more minutes to run to a normal time.
Okay. Right. Are there any non-Emperor's Children Noise Marines? Yes, there are, but most of them come from the Emperor's Children, but there are from other legions / bands.
Yeah, because I remember this in the 4th edition Chaos Card. The Black Legion acquired the means to make their own Khorne Berserkers and possibly their own Noise Marines. They couldn't make their own Plague Marines and Rubricae, I don't think. But you could have Black Legion Noise Marines, and Black Legion Berserkers, as I recall.
A lot of them in the more current codex state that they just come from the Emperor's Children. But the Emperor's Children do recruit and then turn them into Blastmasters and Sonic Marines. But yeah, there's more than likely... No, there's just flat out other warbands that aren't Emperor's Children that have Noise Marines.
I just find it weird in that one Raven Guard audio drop. There's an Alpha Legion Chaos Lord who has Rubricae. That was just weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, but it's the Alpha Legion. They're just a generic bad guy.
Yeah, true.
Which is a real shame, by the way.
Well, not so much generic, more so much just a living meme at this point.
Yaha. We're gonna do bad guy stuff. I am
Sure.
Alfarius.
So, gee, Alfaris, what are we going to do today? The same thing we do every day, Omegon. Try and take over the galaxy.
Although
Sorry.
I still like that in one book, Gilliman kills Alfarius, and in another book, what's his name? I can never remember.
Alfaris, Gilliman kills Omegon.
Yeah, Gilliman kills Omegon,
Allegedly.
and the other one kills, President Clinton kills Alfarius. Can I remember the Imperial Fist name?
Rogaldon.
Thank you. That's his name. I've been calling him President Clinton for a while.
He did not have sexual relations with Euphrates Keeler. Sorry.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Moving on before you say something even more, Ted.
Right. One second. Do you prefer updated models for old characters or new characters?
New
not
characters so we can
both?
kill off the old ones.
I think it depends on the character. Like, Primanius Calgar, fine, no problem with that. I think the best example is comparing with the Salamander, because we didn't get Primaris Hestan, we got Agatone instead, which is the debate of which should we have got. Now, personally, I'd have loved to see Primaris Hestan, because it allows the old characters to get a new lease on life, update some models that are very out of date, a la Jane Czar, but the new characters gives you a new dimension to that faction. Nothing to do with killing them off, although that is a valid point as well.
Nah, you know
Just-
what? We need Primaris Tau. Just Gargantuan Tau.
Tamaris.
Tamaris.
Oh dear, oh dear. But yeah, I can see arguments both ways. I personally like the
Yeah, I don't mind either way.
Right. Question for Michael. Will the Necroderma / Living Metal be something you will eventually get around to covering, or is it like the Butcher's Nail, something that's just as impossible?
it's something like living metal is not a thing that we can understand because it's sentient and alive, but it's also metal, which is neither of those things. So I kind of can't cover it because I have no real world answer. Same as why I'm never going to cover the warp.
To be honest, I thought you were just going to say, like, oh yes, I can do Living Metal. I'll just invite, Judas Priest onto the show.
You think I have the connections to pull that one off?
If you don't ask, you don't get.
It is true.
Yeah, but that would require me having much of an interest.
Just send them a message on Twitter saying, excuse me, at Judas Priest, will you like to come on a YouTube video? They might say yes, you never know.
Unlikely, but I'll consider it. But I'm not planning to.
I mean, Jobby the Hong got David Kay on one of his videos, got him to voice Megatron. So you never know.
Meh, we'll see.
He's only like I say only, but he's like around 200,000 subs, which is by YouTube standards not actually that big. So you never know.
Not something I'm going to rush to do, but maybe one day. Who knows?
Right, I think we've got time for maybe one more at this rate. Okay. What armies are you assembly, painting, playing?
As mentioned earlier, my main army on the go right now is the Anvil Guard start collecting because I want Hydra, and I'm in the middle of painting that. I've got half a squad of Fire Warriors to finish for my Tau, but other than that, I haven't really hobbied in the last 2 months because I've been busy with teaching.
Can I just answer yes?
Actually, yeah, you're doing studio work. You probably got a jillion on.
I have
A
19
jillion?
armies in studio, right? Oh, wait, that's not counting Age of Sigmar. 23 armies in studio right now.
So when are you going to expand to Necromunda gangs?
I already have 3 of them.
Still more to get, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Fair enough. And I'm still doing my Night Lords, but I did manage to get a box set of Wrath and Rapture recently as well. Just because I saw it very cheap, so why not?
Which one was Wrath and Rapture? That's the
Slanesh Call.
Yeah, that one's ridiculously good. I wish I bought like 4 of those. I only bought 2 of them, though.
Only. Yeah, I think given time, I think that'll be enough for questions for this episode. But there's still quite a few left. So if we didn't get around to asking your question, just leave a comment below and we'll try and get around to it next time. Or Michael will try and get around to it next time, rather.
Yeah, because a lot of the questions are not going to be, well, obviously, I can ask them, but it's only going to be me and any guest or guests that I get. So, yeah, don't be asking for Rem. He's not here. But either way, unless there's anything people want to say, add in before we wrap the show.
Old Space Marines look bad, and your nostalgia is with slowing down the hobby.
And on that bombshell...
Excuse me, I like my Rogue Trader Terminators with the oversized heads and the dimple limbs. They're adorable.
Okay, I just want to say that is just a joke.
Right, anyway, so that has been episode 82 of the Adeptus Podcastus. We do hope you have enjoyed it. It's certainly been a pleasure to get, as you might say, get the gang back together and have a bit of a reminisce and a bit of a laugh. So thank you very much to Alexis for coming on the show and joining us. It's been a pleasure having you back.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, we'll see about future arrangements, whether this becomes a regular, irregular, or one-off, or maybe a more permanent feature. We will discuss, I'm sure, in due course. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Always interested to see what you have to say. But for now, this has been Tactica Imperialis.
This has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
NornQueenAlexis. Love you guys.
Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.